Steph here from the She Can channel, where we show what is possible. We show women role models from all walks of life that we interview on their journey, how they get to where they are today. And I'm so delighted to be speaking to Ash Brown today, who is the CEO and founder of Ash Said It. That is a podcast, an iHeart radio show. And Ash, you're a really gifted American producer, blogger, speaker, radio personality, event MC. You've done 1,800 episodes, have more than 500,000 downloads, and you feature exclusive interviews with inspiring brands that will touch your heart. And that's what you're really known for. So tell us a little bit how you got to that point.
Well, thank you so much, Stephanie, for allowing me to be a guest on your show. It's quite a switch of venues for me because I'm usually the one interviewing. So this is really this is really neat. But yeah, so back in 2013, I joined the military. So I went off to basic training December 30th, and on December 31st, my mom passed away. And so I was just going through just a whirlwind of emotions, and I couldn't concentrate, couldn't finish basic training, obviously, and came home and just started to really not even grieve. I think I was avoiding my grief, in all honesty of it. I didn't know how to grieve. I mean, this is the biggest love of my life, and now this person is gone. So I started to meditate a lot more and kind of talk and try to figure out, like, God, what do you want me to do? What am I supposed to be doing? And in the meanwhile, I had someone in my life that had basically encouraged me to start another podcast show. And I had done podcast shows previously, and I had produced for a lot of other people and things of that nature, but people are unreliable. People don't do what they say they're going to do. And then I end up picking up all the slack. And I'm just picturing that in my mind. It's like, why don't you start another podcast? I'm like, I don't want to do that. That's way too much work. That's way too much. People are just not reliable. And she's like, no, there's this new app called Spreaker. So you should download the Spreaker app. It turns your phone into a podcast interface. It's super easy. And I'm like, I don't even know what this show would be about. And she's like, oh, it can be whatever you want it to be. And I'm thinking to myself, what does that even mean? It can be whatever I want it to be. So I download the app, and in the mornings before I would go exercise, I would record 2-minute, 5-minute little audio blurbs, essentially. Essentially, it was like an audio diary for me. And I would get downloads here and there. And I was like, oh, that's cute. Oh, that's nice. You know, people are gracious, but didn't really think anything of it. I got an email from Spreaker later on that year, and they were saying, oh, you know, would you like to add your show to iHeartRadio? We're starting to add podcast shows to iHeartRadio. And I was like, iHeartRadio? I was like, this show that I'm just doing whenever I remember to do it, whatever I remember to record, doesn't have a plot, doesn't have a theme or anything of that nature. Oh, you guys are going to put it on iHeartRadio. So for kicks and giggles, I was like, you know what? Yeah, let me just go and apply and hurt my own feelings, right? So I apply, I forget about it. A year goes on. In that year, I start developing my voice because I felt like God was telling me to use my voice to reach out to people. So I started to become a wedding officiant. I became an event MC. And then I got an email from Spreaker saying, congratulating me. I was like, oh, congratulations, your show is now available on iHeartRadio. And while most people would be like, oh my God, that's so great and so excited, I was petrified because understand these first dozen shows that I had done for the last year were sad and depressing, and I'm crying and I'm purging my emotions and all those things. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to figure out something really quick. So I reached out to a lot of the local people that I knew here in Atlanta and checking out who had new businesses, who had new products to promote, who had new events that people needed to know about. And I just started to interview them and have them on my show. And fast forward now, you know, 1,900 plus shows, over 500,000 streams worldwide. And it's one of the things that I'm most proud of. And I'm so grateful that it came from such a weird and awkward place to be something that I'm just so proud to be a part of. And I did it. You know, no one, you know, sat in there and handed me something and said, hey, make this useful, make this successful. No, I was in the trenches. And to this day, even with the previous experiences, being a flight attendant, being furloughed and all that stuff, I was still recording and I'm still talking to people to this day. So That's a sort of bridge version.
Which I love, Ash, and I love that you're in the other seat today for She Can, telling your
Yes.
story for a change. Now, Ash,
Yeah.
you've interviewed a lot of people over the years.
Mhm.
I mean, you've turned your healing journey into a superpower, into a profession, into your purpose, and that's really powerful. What would you say is your main motivator?
My main motivator is to give a voice and shine a light on those that a lot of people would never know. You know, I've talked to a little bit of everyone under the sun, and we all have a story of triumph, of struggle, of everyone sees me sometimes they're like, oh my gosh, Ash, everything's so great for you, everything's so wonderful. And they don't know the flip side of the work that I've had to put in, the sacrifices that I've had to make, the L's, the losses that I've had to take, because they see your success. And there's a quote that says, gosh, what is it? They see your success, but they don't know your stress, and that's so real, because that's really what it comes to being about. So I would say my highlight was definitely being able to highlight and uplift especially other women, because we're not talked about, we're not promoted, we're not, put up on that high pedestal like we should. So when I get amazing women on the show, I'm excited because I'm like, oh my gosh, she's gonna tell me her story, like, because it's gonna be something that's inspirational and something that someone out there needs to hear. So.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. We have such aligned purposes, Ash, which is why it was so lovely to be put in touch by yet another She Can speaker, Elise, who was
Yes.
trying to put us in touch. And that's really what it's all about.
Yeah.
Ash, I'm wondering, what do you think are your top qualities that make you so good at what you do with Ash Said It?
My top qualities, honesty, integrity, and compassion. Honestly, just because my mom and my grandmother were really big on really implanting that stuff in me early on in life, just super, super early. You know, an honest day's pay, an honest day's work, always having integrity. And then, most of all, than anything, is having that compassion for human life, for other people. Like, just because you've got it great, the next person may not be in a good situation, and think about what you could do. It may not even be monetarily, but just in life. What is something good that you can do to help uplift, humankind? So.
Ash, so you said it earlier. What are you most proud of after 1,900 episodes? What is it that you're most proud of? 500,000 downloads worldwide.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, the show itself, the podcast, just seeing how it has transformed over the years. And I'm super proud that a lot of a good number of some of the guests that have been on the show have now gone on to like international fame. Like, they're selling stuff all around the world. I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember when I talked to her. I remember when they came to my show and they sent me their samples. Like, that warms my heart so much, because I don't do it for fame. I'm definitely, if I'm doing it for money, I'm doing the wrong thing. But but I love to see that, like, a lot of some of the people that have come through my show go on, because I believe in the product. Like, if I don't personally believe in your product and what you've got going on, I'm not going to promote it, and I'm not going to have you on the show just to get a buck. So I think that that's what sets me apart. But the show as a whole, the transformation that it's made from its inception to this kind of whenever kind of project, to like this passion project now that I have, and the way that I've been able to touch so many people. Like, my demographic is women 25 to 40, 44 years old, single moms typically. And a lot of them, they're entrepreneurial minded, but they're looking for that inspiration. So when I share these stories of these women that, were living out of their car for X amount of years, and, putting together all of their savings to start their business, like, they hear these stories and I get these emails back and like, oh my gosh, Ash, thank you so much for having that person on. I think I'm going to start my business.
Yeah.
So hearing people really be inspired by that really is a big pull for me.
If
Yeah,
she can do it, I can do it. And it's so much
that's right.
easier to be what you can see, which is why we're in this business. And I just want to
Yeah.
say, meanwhile, when you're talking, I'm like high-fiving. I'm like, yeah, woo, I'm doing all the signs because it's brilliant. Um, Ash, so after having interviewed that many women, entrepreneurs, and having done so many episodes, what top tips would you give to someone listening who is thinking about, doing something? What are your learnings? What would your top tips be for that aspiring woman entrepreneur?
The top things that I've learned from talking to these different guests would be number one, go for it. Go for it. There's nothing in this life that is not attainable with hard work. You can attain it. You can do it. The second one would be sometimes you have to really block out some of your family members, your good friends. They mean well, right? They mean well and they've got your best interests at heart. But sometimes they don't have the same vision. They were not given the vision that you were given. So a lot of times you have to kind of block that out. And I'd say like the number one thing is to go in it with passion. Go in it. If you're doing it for money, you'll probably make those dollars. You will, but you won't be fulfilled. So really go into it as a passion. If it's something that's really like set your heart on fire, go ahead and out there and just do it, because you don't want to be sitting, on your deathbed and like, oh my gosh, you know what? There were like 50 million ideas. Those two ideas that I really want to do, I never did. You don't want to live with any regret. And that's one thing that I don't live with. I don't live with any regret. I've pushed forward in all different aspects of the business and in life. And I live with no regrets. Absolutely not. Even if I did stuff that was crazy, I had a cable television show at one point where I was literally, no, all jokes aside, I loved doing it, but it took so much out of me. I had to build my whole backdrop stage in my basement. I was the producer, I was the director, I was editing, I was everything. And I think I pushed out like 5 episodes, 5 totally self-produced episodes, interviewing people. It was great. It was awesome. But even my computer like gave out one day and was just like, I can't take it anymore. And I think that was really a wake-up call for myself. Like, girl, you cannot do this. You really need a team. And sometimes you have to swallow your pride and say, you know what, I can't do it all. Even though I could possibly, I have the capability to do it all. Sometimes you can't do it all. And you need to actually implement a team and pull people that obviously are good in their craft, are good in what they do, and utilize that and make that be what it is. So that's
Thank you, Ash. I feel like you've said it to me. I really needed to hear that today. Um, Ash, so what are your plans, your goals, and the dreams for your future? Where is Ash Said It going? Where is your life going?
Oh goodness, there's so much on the horizon. There's a lot of things since I've just moved back to Georgia. There's a lot of things that I'm in the works. There's always stuff cooking on the stove. We're cooking things on the stove. And in the new year, we'll definitely have some new announcements and some new things. People will see me in different spaces than they've seen me before. So I'm looking forward to it. And I appreciate you so much, Sevi, for allowing me to be on your show to share a little bit about, this was different. I like this, but it's so different for me. Cause again, I'm like usually like the one in the hot seat and I've got my questions sitting down. So this was really awesome. I really thank you for this.
No, Ash, I loved interviewing you, chatting to you, and thank you for this really cool conversation. And thank you for coming on She Can to be a role model for others.
Thank you so much.